So people, I thought I'd share this clip with you because as a beekeeper, honey producer, soap producer, a creator, someone who wants to create and send things out to you people, some of you know what I do. One of the banes of my life are the little bureaucratic bottlenecks. Sometimes it's to do with those people we vote called MPs, and some of them have lots of jobs, and some of them also pay attention to their job, which is in the Houses of Parliament. And so they create bits of legislation which aren't very precise, like using the word small. Okay, so in some of the food standards legislation, some of the exemptions, like I'm supposedly a small primary producer, I get exemptions, although they never define the word small, and if you go to different local authorities, they have different definitions, and it's a complete and utter mess. But let's compound this a little bit. Say you wanted to trade some of your honey. Say you wanted to go to, I don't know, maybe Wantage markets on a Saturday, or the farmers markets. Well, our town council has provided a list of requirements. Okay. There's nothing on this document to say who wrote it, so I'm making the presumption, since it was sent by the town council, that the town council created it. But there's no author, and there's no date, and there's no review date. So one of the issues I have is registration. If you sell food or food for sale for 5 consecutive days, which, one of my aspirations, you must register with your local environmental health departments. Okay, I'll go to my environmental health departments yesterday and said, I'd like to register, please. I've got my room decorated. I've bought lots of this kit, which is really top of the range food hygiene thing, and decorated it and done all this stipulation. So yeah, I'm ready to register. And the upshot is I'm exempt. So I can't register because I'm exempt from registering, if you follow the logic. Okay. So I'm going to have a discussion with someone from the town council next week, but I wanted to get to the bottom of this Wantage Town Council document, because I believe it was perhaps created 10 years, 20 years ago. Legislation might have been different, and I need to take the administrator on a little bit of a journey and perhaps encourage her to go back to environmental health, have a chat with them, and ask them an email or whatever. I just wanted to check that fact. And you would kind of think, if the town council, if this is their creation, they might know when it was created, who wrote it. Probably don't. Anyway, it's a small office in Wantage Town Council. There's 4 members of staff, and so they say they work closely with each other. So I'm only a beekeeper. I only do honey soap. I for the life of me, what these bloody bureaucrats do. Right, enjoy. Town council again.
Town Council, Katie speaking.
Oh, hello, Katie. My name's Stephen Herbert. I live in Wantage. I believe Marilyn Egan works Monday to Thursday. Am I right in thinking that?
She does, yes.
She does, right. Just a general question. I'm going to have a chat next week with Marilyn.
Okay.
But I think there's a few sort of misunderstandings, and I just really want to get an understanding about how you people work.
Okay.
Okay. When you people write documents, I think this is standard for government in general, but you people have to work to something called BS 9001, which does document control.
Right.
Is that the case?
I It depends what you're talking about. I don't know what
Do you know what BS 9001 is?
Not without looking.
Okay. Well, in a nutshell, it's a British standard quality control for how you manage documents.
Right.
So if someone goes and publishes a document from the council, it would have certain standards on it, like the name of the author, when it was written, and perhaps a review date and some sort of reference number.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Does any of this sound familiar to you?
Yeah, certainly that's the sort of thing I normally put on documents.
Okay. Now, just to get an understanding, would I be right in thinking that the town council's team, the paid staff, are relatively small?
It is, yes.
How many staff is there altogether?
Can I ask why you're asking?
Well, I'm just trying to understand how you people are working. I mean, naturally, I'm a member of the public. I live in Wantage. I pay the council tax.
Right.
So in terms of why I'm asking, I'm trying to get an understanding about a particular document, when it was written, why it was written, what was the review date, who you people consulted from. So I'm just trying to understand how you people work, because I think there could.
I'm quite happy to help. I would just rather know what document we're talking about.
Yeah, can I? Because I think okay. So you work in a small team. How many members of staff are there?
In terms of in the office, there are 4.
Okay.
Then obviously we have extended staff. I would like to know what document we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, just I will tell you. So you work in the same office, so you work relatively closely with each other, don't you?
We do, yes.
Okay. Now the document I'm interested in. This is what Marilyn sent me a few months ago.
Right.
It's the requirements for stall holders. Now,
right.
It doesn't say who the author is. I mean, I'm not entirely sure whether it's a town council publication. It doesn't say when it's written, and it doesn't say what the review date is, and there's no reference number to it apart from its title at the top.
Right.
Is that something that is this information that you can give to me now?
In terms of the document you're talking about, Marilyn deals with the market side of things. She would.
Yeah, but I'm talking about documents. I mean, surely you can either. It must be perhaps stored on electronic form, on the computer, which might give the sort of basic information about the document control about it. Like well, who wrote it? What was it?
I don't have the document to hand. That's something.
Okay,
like I say,
so would I be right in thinking?
If you've got any questions about the document, you may be best placed to drop an email to me or to the clerk directly if you have queries or worries about what's required in the actual document.
Well, there's 2 parts to this. I'm just trying to understand how the town council works, and to be frank, as a member of the public, for someone who lives in Wantage and someone who pays council tax, I know you're curious about why I'm asking this, but I have every right to ask this. To be honest with you, are you familiar with the 7 Principles of Public Life from the Nolan Committee?
That is something I couldn't repeat off the top of my head.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, objectivity. Holders of public office must act and take decision impartially, fairly, and on merit,
right.
using the best effort and without discrimination or bias. Now, I'm really just trying to understand where, for instance, when this document was published,
right.
and who published it, and what evidence was drawn on to get this. Would I be right in thinking that in your office there's no central place where you store documents?
But in terms of it would depend on whether it was a printed out document or whether it was something that we could all get on the computer. But again, it's something that I'm quite happy to look into for you, but I don't really want to just answer on the spot questions.
Okay.
I don't really know what it's about.
Well, okay. This is what's confusing me a little bit, but when you see that what's about, really, I just my query is I have an information need. Okay,
right.
my information need is about this document called requirements for market stalls.
Right.
Okay, and my information need is this. Who is the author of the document?
Right.
Okay. When was it written? And when was the review date? And what evidence was, who you consulted in terms of evidence to write this document?
Right. I mean, that is something that we would have to look back through, probably the minutes of several meetings to backtrack exactly to where it was approved, or when it was approved, or when it was last reviewed. I mean, if it's an office document, it isn't necessarily something that has to go to the committee to be reviewed on a yearly basis, like something like the financial regs or something like that would have to be reviewed. It's not necessarily something that would need a review in the same way as a statutory document.
Well, if for instance the document saying, well, you have to get registration,
right?
Okay, and after speaking to the environmental health people, the nature of what I'm doing is an exemption.
Right.
Then, for instance, I can't get registration because I'm exempt from registration.
Okay.
And
well,
yet,
in that sort of instance, we would normally expect someone to come back to us and say the Vale has indicated you being exemption, and that would be marked on the form.
yeah, but I'm quite interested as a council taxpayer.
Right.
How exactly you run your office, to be frank with you, and I think it's well within my rights to do that. Saying, well, okay, you people are taking, I forget what you call these sort of additional allowance on the town council, and I'm looking at this document and thinking, well, I think it looks like it could be out of date, but based on some of the legislation. I'm without veering off into my sort of issue, which really Marilyn should. All I want to know really is when the document was written, who wrote it, and what procedures there are for the document review.
I would pop that in writing, potentially to myself or to Marilyn.
Okay, so you can't you can't deal with that over the phone. Okay, now who do I need to address that in writing to?
I would either address it to myself as the deputy clerk or to the clerk directly.
Okay.
The clerk does tend to deal with the market side of things, so if you'd rather go straight to him, I won't be offended. His email address.
Oh, do you want me to write to him? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think that's probably the best bet, yeah.
Okay.
Anonymous report to him on things about market, so it wouldn't necessarily...
Yeah, I mean, naturally I'll do that, but to be frank with you, I would say I'm quite disappointed that well, in the sense that, yeah, I was going to speak to Marilyn about the weeds of the issue.
Right.
But I was perhaps thinking, well, this issue is probably, the nub of this issue is down to perhaps legislation in terms of food safety and registration has moved on.
Right.
But perhaps this document is, say, a little bit older than that and hasn't been updated.
Or possibly so.
Okay, which, I mean, to be frank with you, that isn't very good practice for a public body, is it?
Well, I mean, it depends whether it's a statutory requirement or not. I mean, certainly we do review internal documents, but it's not going to have the same level of review as it is when it's a statutory requirement, like something like a financial regulation, like I said earlier. Those would get reviewed on an annual or biannual basis, but something like a form that we use internally for something isn't going to get that level of review. If things have moved on and someone alerts us,
well, I mean,
then obviously that's something that we'll look into.
This is something you actually send it on to potential stallholders.
Yeah.
So there is a sort of elements where this is something which is in the public domain and public interest.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is it's something that I would have to look into. I can't give you a spot answer on this.
No. And I'm always surprised that you couldn't say, well, hang on a minute, I'll give you a phone back. But no, I will put this in writing because I think it might actually work to my advantage if I put it into writing, and it'll probably make it very, very clear. Because I'm just sort of flabbergasted, to be honest. The amount of round the houses I've been in with the Beekeepers Association, the Vale Environmental Health, and I feel I've been going round in circles.
I'm not party to anything that's happened before. before.
No, and this is why I wanted to discuss it with Marilyn. But what I wanted to assess with you is the actual fundamental things of the documents, which are I just find it very difficult to believe that on that document somewhere, even perhaps in the metadata where it's saved, there wouldn't be sort of the publisher.
What I'm saying is, I can't necessarily get hold of that document within the next 5 minutes. We're only here for 3 hours when the office is open. I would quite happily look at it, but you're probably best to put it in writing as a request, or potentially pointing it out, and we could take it to a committee so that the council is aware of it, and they may wish to then review the document. What I'm saying is, I can't just immediately drop everything I'm doing already to look at it. I'm quite happy to look at it, but I'm not just going to stop what I'm doing to find out those details on a form for something that's obviously been going on for a while with Marilyn.
Okay, if just one more thing before we close. This conversation is between you and me, but I think the test would be, wouldn't it, if this conversation was heard by the man on the street,
right?
What would they think?
I don't know what point you're making. What would they
Okay.
think? I think they'd think it was fair that I was saying I'd need to look into the matter.
Okay. Fine.
Why would a member of the public not think that was fair? I'm not dismissing you. I'm just saying it's something that I can't answer immediately. I don't think that's unfair.
Okay. Lovely. Well, sorry, what's your name again?
It's Katie Buckingham.
Katie Buckingham. Thank you, Katie Buckingham. I'll so what's your email address, sorry?
But do you want to email me or to the clerk? The clerk being my superior, if you'd rather go to him.
Well, I mean, are you happy to deal with my issue?
Well, I'm happy to look into it for you, but it may be something that goes above my head by the sounds of it, but I am more than happy.
Well, Katie, look, if you don't want to deal with it, then I'll...
I don't want to deal with it. I'm quite happy to look into it for you. I'm just saying it might not have to be.
Well,
rather than myself.
Yeah, okay, well, if
I am an officer of the council at the end of the day, so any
Great.
normally comes from the councillors. So I'm happy to deal with it and explain it to them if it needs it.
So what's your email address then?
It's Wantage Deputy, all as one word.
Wantage Deputy, yeah.
At BT Connect.
BT. That's one word, no dots or anything.
No dots or anything.
BT Connect.
BT Connect, all as one word.
So, I mean, when I contact the Vale, it's usually the Vale and South. If I contact central government, it's often .gov. It's a bit odd that it's just BT Connect, the domain name.
Well, again, if you want to point that out in an email, you can do. I think it's just the way it's been set up. We are actually looking at a new website and would potentially become .gov.uk email addresses at that point. But I think it's just the way it's been set up. Again, if you have a problem with the way that we've set matters up, I would put it in writing.
Okay, well, thank you, Katie. I'll be in touch shortly.
Okay, then.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.